Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're all having a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this video. This video is just gonna be about the power creep in the in the game itself. Now, I do stand by, we do not need any more power creep for a good amount of time, right? A very good amount of time. So I pulled up all of the festival units, and I also pulled up Green Gowther. Now, this is all you see in PvP. Literally all of these characters, well, not King, not really King as much, and not really Assault Melee either, but you definitely see Gowther, Merlin on the JP side of things, Escanor, Elizabeth, and Meliodas. But out of all of them, the one you see the most is obviously Escanor, Elizabeth, and Gowther. That is the main team. Now, why I say we need no more power creep? Because it all started with this bastard right here. It all started with Lostvayne, guys. It all started with Lostvayne. When he came out on JP, he literally broke the game. When he first appeared, it was insane because we haven't had a there was no unit like him that existed. There really wasn't. We had, basic units. We had a couple of strong units, right? But there was nothing really like Lostvayne Meliodas. In fact, I can't even remember what the teams were before Lostvayne. I think it was like Blue King, Red Gowther, there was Pierce units, and then he came out, completely altered the game because his power creep was that big. He had the best passive in the game. He had the best skills in the game, and he also had the best ultimate in the game. This is kind of where they messed up, though. I'm not going to front. This is kind of where they messed up. Because if you take a look at the festival units, each festival unit that appears is trying to counter the other. So Goddess Elizabeth, she was purely made to counter Lostvayne Meliodas, right? She was literally meant to counter him with the stunning, with the barrier that has no bonus damage applied. She can revive upon death. All her allies can revive upon death. Whoever dies first, yeah. And then her ultimate reflects damage. So she was legit, and she's also blue. She legit was made to counter Lostvayne Meliodas. Nothing you say will convince me otherwise. She was literally made to counter Lostvayne, but with that came another power creep with Elizabeth. She was JP's first year anniversary unit, and she was a unit that released, I believe, in November for global. So yeah, when they made her, they were like, oh wow, you know what I mean? They knew they had to do something, so they made Festival King. Now, Festival King, he is a good unit to counter both, but the problem is Elizabeth is still pretty good against him with the stunning, and also Meliodas, somewhat, but it's just King isn't used as much because he isn't like Elizabeth, Lostvayne or the One Escanor. He's just not as strong as them. He's more of a debuff pushing unit, right? He pushes the DOT debuffs because that's his entire gimmick, but it still is very good. With the whole poison shock and bleeding corrosion, it's gonna take off a big chunk of their life. And then he also has this DOT release skill 1, very strong, by the way, very powerful. So it can literally do massive damage against Lostvayne if you play it correctly. Also, his poison card is very strong as well. Even though it's an AoE and it has low numbers, it's still pretty good. But yeah, his abyss damage as well. So yeah, he was made to counter both of these units. You can tell because of his his push with the DOT. He has Demon Hendrickson as just basically support for him. Her shield gets absolutely destroyed. Maybe if it's a level 3, it might withstand the the poison, bleed, shock. But if he has all 4, there's no way. There's actually no way it's surviving the entire thing. So yeah, he was pretty much made to counter her shield. I would say her revive as well with his abyss, because his abyss damage actually procs on their turn, right? So before they attack, they get hit by the abyss damage, and it does, what is it, 60%. Yeah, so 60% equal to the damage that was dealt on all enemies. So basically, whatever damage you deal before you use his ultimate, it'll deal 60% of that additional damage. So it's very strong. It's very strong. Worded weirdly, but it's very strong nonetheless. So yeah, he was specifically like, I don't know if he was specifically made to counter them actually, but you could tell he has a few like gimmicks to counter at least Elizabeth, right? And the fact that he's just blue counters Lostvayne, and he has very good crit chance. So yeah, but then, right, King didn't bring a power creep. Really, he really didn't. He really didn't do anything. But then you got the monster himself, Escanor. Escanor just completely, I don't even know what they were thinking. What they were thinking with this unit. He completely just changed the game. Now, this is all you see in PvP, even to this day. To this day, all you see is the one Escanor. Like, that's it. There is no other unit you really see the most of besides the one Escanor, because he's just a behemoth of a unit. That's it. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. He's a behemoth of a unit. He's very, very powerful, very strong. He has flood damage, which basically does more damage depending on the remaining HP he has. His passive is insane, right? He gets 18% to all his stats when it's completely maxed, and then he also removes debuffs, gets debuff immunity. Insanity. And then his second card is just a pure damage dealing card, and if you know he uses this, he can lifesteal a big chunk if he uses rank 3, and then his flood damage can still do a lot of damage. It's like ridiculous how strong they made him. And then they went ahead and gave him death damage, which was insane. I don't know why they did some shit like that, right? So basically, if he ends up killing the unit that he used his ultimate on, 100% of that final damage goes on a random unit. On a random enemy unit, 100% of that final damage will hit them and basically one-shot them too. It's crazy. Like, he's actually crazy. This is the biggest power creep I would say the game has ever had. I would say that because of the fact that he's just broken. Like, he's just broken. Like, that's all you'll see in PvP. There's nothing else you really see more of besides the one Escanor. And it's crazy because if you give him Elizabeth and Gowther, yeah, it's basically like GG. Unless you really, really like, you know, try. He's just insane, man. He's just insane. And then this, like, again, this is the biggest power creep that the game has ever had. Even more than like Lostvayne Meliodas, I would say. When Lostvayne Meliodas first came out, yeah, there was like pretty much no one that could really stop him because people would ult rush. But at the very least, you could like petrify him. You could, you know, take away his attack, not take away, but lower his attack related stats. You could do some stuff. But with Escanor getting debuff immunity, you can't do jack. You really can't do jack. And he can also one-shot. So it's like, damn. He's also blue, so any reds that's in his path get utterly destroyed. Unless they have a gimmick precisely to handle him. They get utterly destroyed. So yeah, he was made, I think it was just made to be broken, but he also just, he literally just hard body counters everybody. Like, literally everybody. It's insane. Elizabeth can sort of hold her own, but it's like not as much as you might think. I mean, yeah, she has her barrier, which can withstand like maybe one attack from Escanor. If it's a fully built up Escanor, fully equipped UR geared Escanor, maybe one attack with the rank 3. But it's like, oh man, yeah, Escanor's different. He's just different. Now I will say this. We'll talk about Gowther real quick before I talk about these two. Gowther, he is the best unit in the game. There is no debate. There is no discussion. The one Escanor, the strongest unit in the game. The strongest unit in the game. Gowther is the best unit in the game, and that's because of his passive. If he didn't have a passive like this, he would not be used at all, probably. Like, I mean, maybe for the rank up, maybe. But if his passive weren't this, I don't think he'd be used half as much. Because of the fact that he can increase attack-related stats by 7%. This is also a passive buff. Keep that in mind, right? Yeah. he's just insane. Like, he's really insane. So you throw him on a team with Escanor and Elizabeth, that becomes one of the best teams in the game. One of the most toxic and cancerous teams in the game, but still one of the best teams in the game nonetheless. He's very, very, like, powerful. That's all I can really say. He's very, very powerful. He has a dissolve card. He has rank up. He can take away your ultimates. He has a, you know, a passive buff card increase. Or not passive buff card, a passive buff increase. He's just different. He's really different. And then he also brought along, I don't want to say a power creep, but he sort of did, because once he came out, oh my god, the red one wasn't used nearly as much. And then even before the one was out, people would just use green Gowther, Elizabeth, and Meliodas, and it would just be the worst possible team to face, right? Because you had Elizabeth, who was just putting up her shield. You had Gowther putting up the dissolve. Meliodas just rushing his ult. It was terrible. It was terrible. But now the team is him, Escanor, and Elizabeth. So yeah. But now let's talk about these two. Now these two, I don't think they really brought up a power creep. Assault Melly definitely didn't really bring a power creep, because he is reliant and dependent on demons and people with commandments. So that's not really a big power creep. It's not really a power creep at all, since most of the commandments and demons in the game aren't really like the craziest over the top broken units, but he's very good. He goes through Elizabeth's shield like butter. He has an amplify card. He procs his amplify card as long as he or any allies take damage. He has a very good ultimate, which he can just use to proc his amplify card if they didn't attack. So he's a very good unit. Very, very good unit. But he didn't really bring a power creep. But still, if they would have just made him like he could be ran on any team, he'd be broken. Like, literally, he would be broken. Because imagine he didn't have this part of his passive, right? And it was just increase his own stats by 5%, etc., etc. Running him with Lostvayne, because Lostvayne, he has like it's sort of like an active passive debuff, right? So running him with Lostvayne would have been, oh my god, I don't even want to think about it. That's how bad it would have been. It would have been insane, guys. It would have been insane. But yeah, he really didn't bring upon a power creep, but with the more demons that'll come out eventually in the game, he might. So yeah, we'll see. But as of now, not really. Merlin is the same way. I don't really think she brought up like a power creep. There is no specific team you could really run. Maybe you could run like the one Escanor and Elizabeth, but that's more so just like, you know, a testament to how powerful both of these units are. Like, that's really just a testament to how powerful they are and how toxic, right? If you're running them with Merlin, Merlin's not really that toxic, really. I don't even think she's toxic at all, right? I don't think she's toxic at all. She's very powerful. She kind of brought back Infect, which is good at, like, that's very good, because Infect was one of the worst debuff skills in the game. But if they, you know, make more units like this, it's not that bad, really. It's really not that bad. So yeah, she brought back Infect. She has Power Strike, which Sario has, and then she also has this really good passive skill. And then her ultimate makes a barrier, but she didn't really bring upon a power creep as much as people might think. I don't really think she did at all either. I think these two, right now, if I had to place them, I would say Escanor would definitely be number 1. Maybe you could put Elizabeth number 2, maybe above Meliodas now. So it could be Escanor goes number 1, Elizabeth number 2, Meliodas might be number 3. This is where it gets hard. I don't want to. I want to put like Assault Melly above him. I want to, but I really don't know. So it would be something like this, maybe. But then again, like, Meliodas might not be the best as he was. King's definitely in last. I don't know. I'd have to make another video, and I'd have to ask you guys what you guys think about it. But yeah, these are all the units that brought upon a power creep. We don't need more units like this. We need more balanced and fair units. Maybe when you make new units, make them have gimmicks to counter said festival units, but we really don't need like another broken over the top character for a while. I think the power creep in this game has gone far enough that we just can use regular we need regular units, because there are over 150 characters in this game, and pretty much the only characters that are used are like festival units and Green Gowther. Like, that's it. That's literally it. Maybe like Sariel, Ludo, and Tarmiel at times, but unless you're recording a video, you're a content creator or something like that, you're just using like all of these guys. That's it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. Thank you guys for listening to my little, you know, discussion video slash, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But if you did make it this far, go ahead and leave a like if you didn't already. Also subscribe to the channel if you aren't. And as always, guys, I will see you all next time.